After 24 hours of travelling, Ollie, my race partner, and I made it to the capital of Kyrgyzstan, which is located in Central Asia. I had a yearning to visit due to its rich culture and immaculate landscape, and I was so excited for the next 3 weeks spent here. How surreal it felt to be in Bishkek after weeks of mentally and physically preparing. We had just 1 week to settle in, adapt to the time zone, sort our bikes, experiment with local food, and hopefully do a ride at altitude to prepare for the race. I was very nervous for what was to come, but I kept repeating to myself, I'm here to ride my bike, not race. I'm here to experience the culture, the landscape, and ultimately create some lifelong memories. Good morning, it is day 1 on the Silk Road mountain race, our 2-week bikepacking adventure in Kyrgyzstan, and we are just setting off to the start line this morning. It is 7:45 and we need to be there for 9 AM, and all the riders, I think there's 100 of us, will set off to do our 1,200 mile loop around Kyrgyzstan, so looking forward to it. Don't get me wrong, although I wasn't here to be competitive and had no expectations, I still knew this would be one hell of a challenge. Got our little caps on. Riding so far is really nice, just on these tarmac roads, so making the most of nice paved roads before we go onto the gravel and the mountain passes. We've got Agate Pass today, which is going to be really challenging, and I think it gets up to 3,000 meters, I might be wrong, but yeah, the views are insane. It is so beautiful. This was my first ultra event, and I sure understood how difficult the next 2 weeks would be, covering roughly 1,200 miles and 30,000 metres of elevation, making this the hardest off-road race in the world. We started Agate Pass, and it's very steep, and I can start to feel it being a little harder to breathe because of the altitude. So I've just stopped and currently waiting for Ollie. I've been here quite a while. I was keeping an eye on him, but now I can't see where he is, which is a bit worrying. I know he's fine because he's got a tracker. Everyone has to carry a tracker on them at all times, but it's not looking good. So I've just asked a few people who are walking, and they said they saw Ollie a 1/4 mile back. So I don't know whether to ride down and walk back up or wait here. After a hard decision, I decided to ride a little way back down the mountain pass to meet Ollie, my race partner, where I found out he had altitude sickness. At this point, it left us in a really difficult situation. It was our first day of racing, we came here as a pair, spent a lot of money and hours planning, and now he was thinking about scratching. At this point of time, I felt so strong and really didn't want to give up now. It felt too soon to pull out of the race, so we decided to separate, and I would continue the race by myself. This was a really difficult decision, and I feel like it really affected me psychologically for a couple of days after, just because I had my mindset that I was riding this route with somebody.
Obviously I do a lot of trips solo, but I guess it's the mindset you put yourself in, and it took a little while to adapt. I had lots of thoughts and feelings that night about the first day, but also what was to come for the next 14 days. Although I was now a solo rider in the race, I got to meet some amazing people, including this Russian couple, Max and Marsha. All riders were self-supported and would carry as much or as little as they wanted.
We've climbed so high this morning. It's 3,100 metres now. It's the highest I've ever been in my life. I'm feeling good. Met some really lovely people from Russia, Canada, and some various other places. So it's been really nice sharing the trail with some like-minded people, seeing as Ollie is not here now.
Regardless of the situation, I was in complete awe of my surroundings. I was in Kyrgyzstan in Central Asia, probably the most bizarre but wonderful countries I've ever been to. And I was riding and pushing my bike up a 3,800 metre incline of Agate Pass.
These views are incredible. Look at that pass. I can't believe I've just come up that. I'm nearly at the top, but this is hard work and I'm feeling the altitude now.
You could probably ask me why I travel all the way to Kyrgyzstan to ride my bike all day, every day. But at that stage, I enjoyed the idea of challenging myself in this aspect. You really get to know yourself on these Type 2 adventures.
Have you got a puncher?
Oh yeah, I got it 10 miles out.
Good afternoon. It is 20 to 2. I still haven't seen anyone. It's been hard going, really challenging, but I love the scenery and that we're actually on gravel rather than thick sand like it was in Iceland. We've got a mammoth hiker bike now, up another pass. This route is relentless. I am freezing. I've got all my layers on. It has been raining for most of the day, so I haven't done loads of filming. I just want to find somewhere to camp now. Good evening. I am all set up now, as you can see. It was a very wet pack up. Everything is so damp and drenched. I got so cold in the end. I had all my layers on, including this, which I wasn't supposed to wear whilst I was riding. I don't know if it was the lack of food or the wet and the drop of temperature. I don't know.
Day 2 proved to be very challenging, with a couple of huge mountain passes to cross that required hours of hiker bike. Then we were hit with very unpleasant weather, which consisted of cold temperatures, rain and wind, which sure tested all the waterproof kit I brought with me.
Good morning. It is absolutely glorious. It is so cold though. I have got every single layer that I brought with me on right now. I woke up to frost this morning. The grass was just covered in frost, and obviously it's been raining all of yesterday. Everything was soaked, so it was just not very pleasant. So I've actually come to the point where I don't know if it's wiser to put on wet clothes and have an extra layer and potentially dry it out
than not wear the wet clothes. So gloves today were soaking, put them on, and they've actually kept my hands warmer than when I didn't have them on, even though they're soaked. And they've dried out really nicely, same with my buff and my hat and my waterproofs. So I don't know if that was just a common knowledge thing, but I always thought putting on wet pieces of clothing was really bad thing to do when it's cold. Over the course of the trail, I eventually learnt the benefits of synthetic materials. It finally warmed up and proved to be a lovely day.
I've hit the washboard.
It is extremely hot now. What a contrast. I'm going to stop in the next hour or two and get all my kit out and dry everything, like sleeping bag and my tent, because it's still soaked. The views today have been insane. It definitely feels very isolated. I've been solo pretty much all day. I've seen a couple of riders and also had a weird experience with these locals following me in their car for ages. I don't know if they were friendly or just being a bit much, but I was just a little bit uncomfortable with the situation. This is breathtaking. I'm looking over these mountains now and it's very, very daunting. What's to come? It was very eye-opening travelling to these parts of Kyrgyzstan, where on the whole people have a lot less. But it was amazing to see how happy, generous and healthy they were, and if anything, they were thriving. We are nearly at 3,000 metres. There's a group of 4 of us who are tackling this pass just to get to Songkol Lake, where checkpoint 1 is. We're a day before schedule. The cut-off for checkpoint 1 is tomorrow at 4 PM. I can't believe it. It's been such a great day. I've just really enjoyed riding and witnessing these views. I feel like it's not real. I feel like I'm in a dream. Might be the altitude, to be fair. After roughly 5 hours of pushing our bikes up Kalmak Ashu Pass to Songkol Lake, we made it to the summit at 3,440 metres just before nightfall to get us to Kyrgyzstan's second largest lake. On the descent, a man on horseback appeared from the darkness. Riding alongside me, he was shouting words that I couldn't understand. I came to realise he was offering me and another rider a place to sleep at his family's yurt camp.
По-русски знаете? Немножко. По-русски.
English?
English, да?
Grammar.
The family were so kind and put on a huge display of food, a comfy bed to sleep on made of pelts, and a chance to drink fermented horse milk. Never again. All for a small fee, which was so kind, especially as it got down to freezing that night and we had a serious lack of food.
About 7, started about 9 or 10. Yeah, it was not so good for the race. And because of this...
I honestly couldn't believe it when I arrived at checkpoint 1 at Songkul Lake after a 100-mile day. It definitely motivated me and gave me the confidence that I could potentially make it to the finish, even though I had a long way to go at this point.
It was unbearably hot. There was no water around. Oh, bloody hell. It was so intense. The amount of sun cream I put on today. I'm still burning. So I've got my sun hoodie on, which is amazing. Merino wool. So it keeps you relatively cool. And it smells pretty decent. Considering I'm definitely feeling yesterday's 100-mile ride. It was a long day. Oh, I'm really feeling the heat today. It is so hot. Just got some Coke and some naan bread to raise the spirits.
There was no escape from this intense summer heat. This deserty landscape became harsh and the lack of water points made it even worse. This is no place for rationing water supplies in 40-degree heat.
Hello. I feel like I'm on top of the world right now. The views are immense. It's just getting dark and I'm on the top of this path and I'm going to continue riding until I find somewhere to camp. Why doesn't anyone talk about how cool the descents are on this route? It is amazing. It's so amazing. You hear a lot about how brutal the climbs are, but not how fun and amazing the descents can be. And look at this. All these rocks are amazing. This landscape is constantly changing. It's so diverse. You've got real greenery, you've got trees, and then you've got this rock. It's insane. And yeah, checkpoint 1 was really nice. Really liked it, and I just can't believe I've made that milestone. And I slightly feel like maybe I can do this now. I obviously didn't know what the outcome was going to be. I just wanted to come to Kyrgyzstan and ride my bike. And I'm just glad that I've passed checkpoint 1, but I'm still getting 7 hours of sleep, and I'm still able to film and look around and enjoy the scenery. It's not just a slog.
Checkpoint 1 was a huge milestone for me. If you don't make the checkpoints by the deadline, then you'll be cut out of the race.
I am now in the town of Camedia. Just put the name here. It's been too long to remember the name. It's been 40 degrees today. It's been baking. Been trying to keep as much liquid in. Got to this town, like I said. Put my stuff on charge for an hour because I'm running real low on battery. Good evening. It is 4:45. And I'm really struggling actually. It's just unbearably hot. It's 40 degrees and yeah, it's just really intense. Just finding it really difficult to balance everything, like riding the distance, sleeping, eating, washing my clothes, make sure my bike's okay with my chain and everything. So I'm in a bit of a predicament. Like I said, it's 40 degrees and me being very stupid, I've only got 2 litres of water and half a litre of Coke. And I've just looked and I don't know when the next river is, and there's no resupply points, and I feel very, very stupid for not getting any water at the last place. Water hasn't been an issue so far and I assumed I'd be fine. I'm getting slightly emotional because I was so desperate for water and I started to get really worried that I wouldn't find water. And I came down this track and I've already been down a track to find water and there was nowhere at all. So I came down here instead and asked this lady, I just showed her my bottle and they filled up my water, invited me into their home, made me tea and food. They made me emotional that they don't have much, but they were so generous, and yeah, that's really touched me. I don't know if you can hear me, because it's a little bit windy, but yeah, I got very choked up earlier. I ran out of water, didn't I? And I don't think I let on how worried I actually was. There's no water around, it's 40 degrees, and I panicked. And I felt really stupid. And I went to a cut-off I saw on the map and hoped there'd be water there. And there was nothing. And I held my bottle up to a lady there who was outside her house and she just wasn't responding. So I filled up from some swamp and it looked minging. But I've got a filter, so I was like, oh, I'll do that. And to be honest, there was a very horrible vibe in that cluster of houses. They were all made of mud and straw, the houses, which was crazy. And then I went to another house and I just really wanted some water. And these lovely people filled up my water, let me in their home, made me tea and food, and we translated on the phones to be able to speak. And I was just so overwhelmed how kind people are when they don't have loads, and they gave me all of that and let me into their home and were so friendly and kind. And it hit me like a sledgehammer, just how lovely people are, and makes me realise that generosity goes such a long way, and just being kind to one another. If the whole world was like that, it'd be such a better place. Things definitely impact you differently out here because the highs are so high and the lows are so low. And even a couple of blokes are admitted to crying a couple of times. And it's just, there's so many emotions and feelings running through you all day, and you're alone doing a big challenge with a lack of food, sleep and water. So the real you does come out, and if you have any demons, they're coming out too. Or any baggage or things you regret. And I think sometimes it's powerful, and I definitely have those moments where I just appreciate what I have in my life and how lucky I am and how wonderful this country is.
No. Max is changing his job. It's the shepherd. Come on. Off you go. Go away. It's like Clarkson's farm in Kyrgyzstan. At 22 years old, I felt so lucky to have these experiences. After years throughout school and adult life, I found it difficult to connect with people or simply didn't understand one another. But here, I felt like I knew the other riders years, and there's something so special in that. Hardships and the great outdoors definitely bond people together.
У тебя есть ключ, да, спецовой? Да. Вот. Нужно разбортировать камеру, вычистить ее, поставить на камеру.
So we made it onto paved roads, which feels like a luxury. And we're heading into the town of Beowulf. And I think I'm going to treat myself to a guest house to have a shower. It's been 6 days. Wash my clothes, charge my electrics as I'm running low, and get some food. I feel like I could eat my body weight in food. I'm so hungry and can't wait for real food instead of snacks. I didn't have dinner last night because we were going all night, so I'm pretty weak and hungry now. And here we have the little kids, as you approach the towns, come up to the road to say hello. It's so sweet. Hey! Hello!
After spending the night in Beowulf to shower, wash clothes and sort my kit, it was time to get back on the road.
Good morning. I haven't filmed much recently, just trying to save battery and get on with the days. Obviously it takes a lot to ride this route and try and film and sort everything else out. But anyway, our highlights of yesterday that stood out was, one, I had a little bit of a tumble, fell off, only lightly, I was completely fine, just grazed my leg. Two, got chased by a dog down a road for what seemed like forever. It was barking and it looked very vicious, and it was running so fast. Managed to get away. I didn't really want to stop. You're supposed to stop, but this guy didn't look like he was gonna calm down. Another one was getting a hotel in Beowulf. Oh, amazing. Got to wash my clothes, got to have a shower, night's sleep in a bed, charge all my electrics. It was a really great reset. Just down a pass, come down it, we're going back up a hill, welcome to Kyrgyzstan.
ate it before
I ate it. We have just crossed into the border of China. Got all the shipping lorries taking stuff to and from China. We're in China, baby!
Coca-Cola, brilliant.
Oh, thank you. Oh.
Ready to drink ditch water.
Yeah, I know, imagine that. Good evening. I am now in China, which is crazy. We have been on the highway for miles and miles and miles, a lot of today actually. So we've clocked in some good miles today. I think it'll be over 100 time we finished. The border went fine getting into China, that was all good. You just had to hand your passport, and we had like permits made for us by the organiser. It's been a really lovely evening, and tomorrow we're going to make it to checkpoint 2, which is crazy. So we're still at over 3,000 metres. It is very cold. Yeah, so we're going to ride through the night. Well, not through the night, but for a couple hours in the dark. Got the exposure lights on, front and rear, so I'm nicely seen. And yeah, just gonna keep on keeping on. It's been a long, long day. Set off at 4:30, and the time it is 8. Chilly one. We woke up here. This is where we stayed last night.
The family that live in this trailer next to the Kyrgyzstan border kindly let us all stay, made us some hot food and coffee. This meant so much to me. It truly is the simple things when you're out here on trail, and you definitely gain a different perspective on things.
And is it all like pothole / washboard road?
It should be, it's all gravel. It should be all
yeah?
gravel, then it goes to gravel. So yeah, hopefully the road isn't.
After a good night's sleep in the trailer and the convenience of not having to pack down kit, we left with full bellies to head to checkpoint 2. 617 miles in, I finally reached checkpoint 2, where I stamped my booklet, had some hot food, and looked what was to come on the route, which included the old Soviet road.
So that is checkpoint 2, done and dusted. Went there, got some food, rice and soup and bread, some chai tea, and got some Wi-Fi, and just stayed in the warm before embracing the cold now and hitting the old Soviet road. So we are now on the old Soviet road, and we are actually heading up here, which is going to be a steep climb. We've now started the old Soviet road. It is so steep. It's literally like pushing your bike up at Monroe. This is going to be a long climb. And you can see all little bits of barbed wire left over from when it was built.
I've just finished the climb up the old Soviet road. That was so hard, so steep. The views are incredible. And now we got a long descent. I want to get off this high altitude. I think it's over 3,500. Starting to feel it a little bit. I'm coughing. The views were divine on the old Soviet road, which is barely a footpath now. The night set and I woke up to frost on my tent the following morning, but as always, it felt good to have the rest. Good morning. I've just got on the road, had a bit of a later start because I overslept annoyingly, but it is 6:30 and the temperature is -1. My tent was completely frosted this morning. My water is frozen and I'm so lucky that I put my water filter in my sleeping bag last night. I'm trying to pull out the positives of today because unfortunately, late start, it's freezing and I've just started my period, which as you can imagine is really no fun. I was now feeling the pressure. I would soon be arriving to Wren, the halfway point later that day, but was only left with 5 days to complete the next section of the route. With severe diarrhoea, a period, nosebleeds and colder conditions, did I have what it takes? The bike still isn't the lightest. That's the second river crossing. Just made it to a yurt camp. I really didn't know where to stay tonight. I was riding in the dark and I couldn't find anywhere. There was no decent spots. So I thought, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna have to keep riding into the night. And I made it here. The time is 9:45. So I've got a bed made up. I don't have to set up my tent. And yeah, I'm in this really lovely yurt. I absolutely love yurts, and considering this is about £10 to stay the night, or if that, it's awesome. But riding tonight was amazing. I got to see a lovely dusk, and then the stars were insane. But yeah, I will see you tomorrow. Night night. On the morning of day 11, after waking up in this gorgeous yurt, eating my breakfast, I realised my precious time in Kyrgyzstan was coming to an end. Already I'd created an abundance of memories, faced learning curves, met the most wonderful people, and I feel like I'd almost settled into this routine. I was used to being uncomfortable, that it just became normality. It almost felt as if this was my life now, and that made me kinda happy. Just simply being, only focus on food, water, somewhere to sleep, and riding my bike each day. Don't get me wrong, I miss luxuries and real food, but it felt peaceful just being, and I'd definitely come back to this country for a slower adventure. It's so interesting how connected you become to a landscape when you're living amongst it, witnessing every sunset, waking up at sunrise, drinking from its rivers, and being exposed to all weather conditions. I felt so present, as well as connected to nature and all the wonderful people on this journey. Looking back now, nearly 3 months later, those couple of weeks were absolutely incredible and worth all the highs and the lows. I had the most crazy experiences over those 14 days, saw the most beautiful sights and animals, and ultimately it was the highlight of my year.
So I'm currently on mile 78, nearly 80. I don't know what's up with my glasses. And did a 100-mile day yesterday, so I'm feeling very tired now. And I just got to the top of this pass before we kick up at 3,200 metres and it's freezing. So me and another rider are looking for a yurt or just somewhere to warm up because there's been some crazy river crossings and it's so cold. Got my shorts soaked, so it's freezing and my shoes are filled up with water, and now we've got dogs coming this way. Little German shepherds. Hello boy. Hello.
Жена, да? Нет, друг. Друг? Да.
There was a man staying there alone and he kindly let us into his yurt. He was a shepherd and spoke to Steve in Russian about family, his job, and asking where we're heading. We all laid on the floor in a row and were super toasty as he lit sheep poo in his burner. It felt unreal to take off my wet shoes, socks and shorts, get warm and have some food after a very long day. The man kept offering chai tea, biscuits, apples, it was endless. I find it crazy how generous this man was, as it's not common in our culture.
Good morning. It is 8 o'clock and I'm just going up a pass. Feeling very, very weak today. Got really bad diarrhea. I just can't eat anything.
Later that day, I reached checkpoint 3, where I resupplied big time from a local store. I felt like a kid in a sweet shop and finally regained some energy. It was nice to catch up with riders and the race organisation before heading on. At this point, a big chunk of miles had been ridden, putting me over halfway to the finish. However, the terrain and river crossings and the weather only got worse.
Oh, bless him. Thank you. Good morning. Probably look a right state at the minute. I've got every single layer I own on. It was such a wet night last night. It just poured down. And you're looking out at the mountains now. And covered in snow. You can definitely feel the tension between the riders at the back about making the cut off. We've got 3 days left, that's it, 3 days. The cut-off's at Saturday at 12 at midnight. other riders are just trying to make it by then. We've got a long way to go, but it's more the elevation that we've got to do. Everyone really wants to make it because we've come this far, but there's a lot to be done. We got 2 days until the finish, and yeah, we've got a long way to go. I'm slightly panicking.
At this point, after getting this far through, I didn't want to give up now. I knew I just needed to keep persevering because I'd be so proud of myself once it was over, and I'd come away with more confidence than I came with. Sometimes when you get over hurdles and barriers and through hardships, you come out a better and stronger person. And that's why I knew I had to get my head down and keep going.
It is so cold this morning. It's frozen everywhere. Last night was insane. It was a bit like an emergency situation actually. Me and Mark were walking up Shamsi Pass, and it's not even a pass, it's just like a horse track, and it got dark and we were walking till 11:30 I think it was. And we just got so tired and you could barely make out a track, and on our Garmin's it said that we'd gone slightly off the trail, but there really isn't a trail, and in the dark you can't make out anything. So we were like, oh, do we turn back? Because there was nowhere to camp. Do we continue on and just push over the pass? And we tried to keep calm and thought, we can't push on anymore. We're so tired. It's been a 90-mile day and we're moving at 1 mile per hour, and we still got to get up and over this pass. So we would have been going all night, I think. Eventually we found somewhere to camp somehow, and what we were worried about and why we didn't camp up sooner is our tents were soaked and our sleeping bags damp from the night before. So yeah, we camped up. It was a bloody freezing night, but we survived. I'm honestly so knackered, and it's just, I feel really exhausted. Yeah, I'm so fucked. I think it's the lack of calories, lack of sleep, and the constant exercise catching up. And the route's just gone completely crazy now. Like, it's gone on another level. So much climbing.
hiker bike climbing and single track, and now I'm starting to think that I should have hurried up when the going was a bit easier. Bloody hell. I think it's going to be a late one tonight. I just need to get some food, I think. That'll be fine.